Hey guys, welcome to a week of food in my life. This weekend was a little bit different because we finally finished second year exams, and so I went on holiday with my boyfriend and my friends. So on Saturday, we went hiking up Seven Sisters, and so our food's a little bit scattered. This is an apple and rhubarb crumble with some custard. We also had some steak and an eggplant parmigiana, which was so good. We came home and made quesadillas and had bubble tea and then went to bed. Sunday morning was a bit of an early start, so just had a very basic breakfast and then headed off to Cambridge with my friends. We stopped by this cafe that I go to every single time and I absolutely love. We just had bakery stuff and some coffees and just celebrated the rest of the day. Our food highlight was Korean barbecue for dinner. On Monday, I was a little bit tired from the weekend and had a busy Monday morning, so I just made some very simple bruschetta for lunch. And for dinner, I wanted to try making mango sticky rice, although mangoes aren't very good in the UK, so I made them with tinned peaches and it tasted just fine. Now, I tried making this satisfying, but it looked horrible! Anyways, this is just some coconut cream that I microwaved to make liquid, and then I mixed with water to cook my rice in. Honestly, I haven't cooked rice on the stove in a really long time, but it turned out just fine. Before I put it on the stove, I added some condensed milk to taste, and then just let it simmer for a few minutes with the lid on. Now it's time for the actual meal. I had some leftover sun-dried tomatoes, so I preheated that oil and then chopped up some onions, courgettes, and carrots to mix into my pasta. Once the pan was heated up, I sauteed the onions and garlic first and then added the rest of the veggies. Then I added in some tomato paste, some wine, salt, pepper, etc., and then added the pasta, and then I let this simmer until the sauce thickened a little bit. In the Sunday market in Cambridge, my friend and I bought this gorgeous garlic and rosemary bread, which I just heated up in a pan on its own. Normally, I toast bread with olive oil and salt, but this didn't need any more flavor. I also chopped up some basil to put into the pasta, and then it was time for plating. And that was everything, a super simple meal. We served the bread with the leftover sun-dried tomato oil and some balsamic, and as for desserts, I just added some tinned peaches, yogurt, condensed milk, and dark chocolate shavings with a little bit of mint, and that was everything. Something about the summer weather has been really making me crave sandwiches and wraps for lunch. So for Tuesday, I washed up some chickpeas and cut up some onion to pan fry them. Then I added some broccoli for a little bit of veg, and pro tip, use the stems of your broccoli. You just need to cut off the thick outer layer, but then otherwise you can cook it just like any other part of the broccoli, and it's really healthy for you and reduces your food waste, so I would highly recommend. Now, you can really add any flavorings you want to this mixture, so I just had some leftover Mexican fajita mix and then let that stir fry for a little bit. Then I prepared my wraps. At the base, I started off with some mayo and some lettuce, and I accidentally recorded this footage in slow-mo, so please enjoy, and poor chickpea. Then I added some barbecue sauce and a little bit of cheese and then wrapped it all up. And I really like to pan fry my wraps just to have a little bit of a crispy outside, and so that's what I did, and then I enjoyed. It was very yummy. As for dinner, I was feeling a little bit adventurous and I wanted to make some dumplings from scratch. So here I just have some ground pork, onions, garlic, and if you do have adding some ginger, etc. would be really good. Then I had these store-bought dumpling wrappers I've had for quite a while, and these were really difficult to defrost. But anyways, I added some filling and then tried folding it the normal dumpling way, but it didn't really work out well for me. And so here's an easy shape for a beginner to make. I can't really explain it, but it's like an X, and it looks quite impressive. And I was very proud of myself. You can see the ones that didn't really go so well on the top over there. Then I wanted to have this as like a dumpling soup broth, so I just added some really hot water to some miso paste and some veggie stock, and then added my dumplings in. And as for some veg, I toasted up some sesame oil and sesame seeds, and then I added some courgettes and just let that cook for a little bit. Then when everything was ready, I placed it up with a soft-boiled egg, so sorry if that looks a bit gross with soy sauce and some spinach, but it tasted really, really good. As for a Wednesday, I wanted to do a little bit of a picnic in the park, and so first I prepared some homemade salsa, and the recipe I learned from work, so it's really just chopped up tomatoes, garlic, a little bit of water, olive oil, basil, etc., you know, the whole lot, and this was really, really yummy. Then I chopped up some ciabatta bread and then added the salsa, prosciutto, sun-dried tomato, spinach, fresh mozzarella, and some balsamic, and this sandwich was so good. Would highly, highly recommend. I also toasted the ciabatta bread just beforehand because I prefer it to be a little bit crunchy. Then, when everything was all packed, I headed off to the park and enjoyed these sandwiches. This evening, I was hosting a dinner party, so I prepped some green beans and broccoli and then made a marinade for some salmon. So this was just soy sauce, honey, sesame oil, and hoisin sauce, and just random miscellaneous things, lime juice, whatever really fit. It was only at this stage that I found out you can't actually marinate fish as long as you can chicken and other items, which honestly surprised me, but it shouldn't have because it makes a lot of sense. So I only let that sit for a little while. Then I prepped and scored some aubergines because I wanted to make miso glazed aubergine bake, which my flatmate taught me the recipe to. It's really nice to just put these aubergines on a dry hot pan so that you can brown them a little bit before you bake. Then I made a miso soy honey glaze, which I spread across all of these aubergines and making sure they seep into the little scores that we made before. Then I popped these into the oven for about 40 minutes. And of course, I made a big batch of rice and then just prepared some toppings like lime slices and coriander so that we can sprinkle on at the very end. I've really been enjoying sesame oil and minced garlic as flavoring for broccoli, but I didn't have any garlic, so I just used the powder. Then we pan-fried some salmon and then served up the dinner. It was so good. By the end of the week, I had so many leftovers, so I made dumpling soup for Thursday and then just some random toast things with miscellaneous items for Friday. Well, that sums up a week of food in my life. Thanks so much for watching and happy eating!